What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to DSM Pregame Live. Phillies, Diamondbacks, NLCS Game 1 at the bank tonight at 8:07 p.m. Zach Wheeler versus Zach Gallen on the bump tonight. Should be a great one, and we're here to break it down for you guys. Keys to victory, best bets, game predictions, standout stars, all of that good stuff. I'm one half of your host here, Dylan Davis. To my right, my faithful co-host, Scotty. Guys, we are live here on DSM Media's Philadelphia YouTube channel. If you are new to the channel, make sure to smash that subscribe button, turn on notifications, do whatever you got to do for whenever we go live here on DSM Pregame Live for the Phillies, Eagles, and Sixers season, as well as the home of the Faithful Fanatic Show every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday morning, breaking down all of your Philadelphia sports talk. My man, happy Monday. Red October continues to another round. Let's go. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling pretty good despite the other team in Philadelphia ruining moods yesterday. The other team. Yeah, I'm just playing, man. They aren't that low on my totem pole. They're not Sixers level.
Yeah, they're not Sixers-esque yet.
But no. I'm happy, man. I have to move on from that and get ready for the Fightins, give them all my energy and support tonight. We'll be watching the game together, so that's pretty exciting as well. It's the first postseason game that we'll get to watch together.
Yes,
so I'm looking forward to that. Good Monday overall, though, man. Like, despite the loss yesterday, you can still feel the energy around the city, and everybody's kind of turning the page to the Fightins and the Phillies and getting ready for this series matchup with the Diamondbacks. So I'm excited. I'm excited to get the NLCS kicked off tonight and get it rolling, man. See what the Phillies are on and see if they're ready for this young and sparky Diamondbacks team, right? Everybody I've seen, I've been reading about it. Everybody's kind of saying this is like the reverse situation of the Phillies last year. This is the Diamondbacks, right? This team that not everybody knows about, not everybody is ready for. So it'll be interesting to see how that kind of plays out in this series. But I'm feeling very confident, to say the least, going into this, man.
Yeah, a lot of people are bringing up that point. Obviously, the 6-seed wild card that sneaks in towards the end of the year. Obviously, they sweep out the Dodgers in the best of 5 after after sweeping the Brewers, right, in the wild card round. So they're definitely hot, right? They're undefeated in the postseason. My biggest thing, and this is not to overlook them, this is not to put down our opponent. We're going to get into their lineup. We're going to get into Zach Gallen, everything like that. But the difference to me is just, come on. I mean, I think it's pretty clear the talent disparity on paper, at least. And I know baseball is it's a strange sport, right? Once you get in the dance, anything can happen. Like we saw last year at the Phillies, like we're already seeing. It's already, a huge success for the Diamondbacks this year. But you had a Phillies team last year who probably underachieved in the regular season, got in and had guys like Bryce Harper and Kyle Schwarber and so on and so forth, right? JT Realmuto, like best at their position type of players, all-star type players. This Diamondbacks team, maybe I'm hating a little bit, is just not that. If you go position by position, they don't necessarily match up well with the Phillies. Corbin Carroll is probably the best player, rookie of the year candidate. He's been unbelievable. He's going to be a key tonight for Zach Wheeler to keep off the base paths, everything like that. Christian Walker is a nice power bat in the middle of their lineup, but that is as far as I will take their danger in the lineup. Ketel Marte, he's nice in the 2-hole, right? Perdomo, Moreno, Lourdes Gurriel, like they have a couple guys. I don't view them the same as this Phillies team because they just don't have the pop, the thump, the names to kind of scare me. And maybe I'm wrong for that, but we'll get into all of that throughout the course of the show. But I got to start with the pitching matchup here, man, and that is Zach Wheeler versus Zach Gallen. Obviously, PA boy himself, Zach Gallen, although I believe he's a Cowboys fan. I just found out through Mark Henry Jr. So, I mean, the boos are going to rain down for
He's the worst type, man. He's the worst.
Literally the worst.
Oh, God.
Yeah, the worst type, man. But they're on the mound tonight, and this one should be a great matchup. However, I do have some numbers and splits for you to make us feel a little more comfortable with this great pitcher in Gallen on the bump tonight. So we already know what Wheels is bringing to the table. Zach Wheeler is bringing 98 to 99 up in the zone wicked breaking stuff. He's been here, done that, went to the World Series last year, has obviously pitched incredibly well through the first 2 rounds of this postseason. Zach's ready to go. Now, Zach Gallen, on the other hand, Scotty, I'm going to read you some splits this year. Home versus away. Now, he's pitched only 6 more innings on the road this year than he has at home in Arizona. So the number should be very, fair. It's not like they're dragging one way or the other, right?
Fairly
Leaning one way or the other. Okay.
Yeah.
He was 12-3 at home. He's 5-6 on the road. He had under a 2.5 ERA at home. He has a 4.42 ERA on the road. His whip is up on the road. He struck out 20 less on the road. He walked 11 more and gave up 8 more home runs on the road this year than at home. Now, I don't need to tell you that this isn't just any road game. This isn't just any hostile atmosphere that he's walking into tonight. So you take that into account. You take into account his kind of struggling on the road compared to how dominant he is in Arizona, and then you stir that in a pot with this Philadelphia crowd.
Yeah.
The pitching edge clearly goes to the Philadelphia Phillies tonight.
Yeah, I think you said it right there. Wheeler, you would argue, is better than Gallen anyways. Then you add the home field advantage on top of it. And yeah, I think it's going to make a big difference in tonight. Everybody can say they're used to the noise, everything, the environment. They played in maddening environments. I think he said he's even been to like an Eagles-Cowboys game, so he's seen the worst of it, whatever that means. No, it's completely different. Eagles games and Phillies games are completely different, right? Yeah. It's a much more compact stadium, so you're going to feel each Phillies fan on top of you. And I think nobody knows what it feels like until they're playing in it in Red October, and that's just the simple truth. But the splits, they're definitely encouraging, given his renowned resume as an ace coming into tonight. Mm-hmm. So I'm looking forward to seeing what he's got, but those splits definitely give me a lot more confidence against this young pitcher here.
Well, I'll give you a couple more as well. For
Wheels?
No. So I'll flip over to Zach Wheeler. So his numbers are a little more inflated at home than on the road. I know that sounds kind of weird. However, he threw almost 14 more innings on the road than he did at home. So it shrinks that ERA. It makes it a little more difficult. He had a 4.13 at home versus a 3.16 on the road. His whip is just about even. His walk 19-20. He strikes out more on the road. But again, that's in more innings pitched.
Yeah.
Let's see. He gives up more home runs on the road at home, 13-7 on the road. So Wheeler's numbers would say he's slightly better at home or on the road, I should say. However,
a lot.
It's inflated a bit.
Skewed a little bit. I got you.
The other splits I'll throw to you for Zach Gallen. Okay, so obviously he's a right-handed pitcher. You would expect this Phillies lineup. Well, it will be obviously. Brandon Marsh will get the start tonight. Bryce Harper will be in the 3-hole instead of cleaning up and being flipped there. And then everything else will be the same in that case. But Gallen versus lefties, okay? So here's the difference. He has faced righties 24 more times than he has left-handed hitters, except he's given up 6 more home runs versus lefties than he has righties.
Interesting.
All right. He has a 3.88 ERA versus lefties, a 3.10 ERA versus righties. He walks more lefties. He strikes out less lefties. Obviously, I know Doug's a right-handed pitcher. It makes sense, but we know where the majority of the thump likes to come from for the Phillies when you look at Bryce Harper, who shot, by the way, happy birthday, MV3. So birthday boy Bryce at the bank tonight. Schwarber, Stott, Marsh could have success against Gallen. The last thing I'll throw to you, I find these splits very, very interesting, and it'll kind of get us away from the pitching matchup and get us into our keys to victory here, man. So I'm interested to see what you have as well. But for our keys, it kind of goes into getting ahead in counts versus Gallen and making him work. So here's his count splits. All right. 0-0. If you want to be aggressive tonight, Zach Gallen has an 8.10 in ERA in 0-0 counts. He's given up 5 home runs. That's the most home runs he's given up in any style of count versus hitters this year. All right. He has a 6.75 ERA versus 1.0 counts, a 7.04 ERA versus 1.1 counts, 5.40 ERA versus 2.0 counts, 27 ERA versus 3.0 counts. When you get ahead of Zach Gallen or you get on him early and be aggressive, you find more success. When you get behind Zach Gallen, okay, 0-1, he has a 1.89 ERA, giving up 2 home runs on the year. 0-2, he is a 1.23 ERA, giving up 0 home runs on the year. 1-2, a 1.56 ERA. He has punch-out stuff. My first key to victory is being aggressive or getting ahead of Zach Gallen in these counts tonight and feasting from the left side of the plate. That's what I'm looking for the Phillies to do. Again, I know we can get frustrated when they come out, swing first pitch, don't work counts. Maybe he has success and has a low pitch count through 3 innings, and we're like, what are they doing? Take a pitch, work a count. He's the wrong guy to get behind. He gets you 0-2, 1-2. It's almost say goodnight, okay? So the Phillies either come out, be aggressive if you see a first pitch strike over the plate, or hopefully get ahead in the count, make him work, and even that up right there. So that's my first key to victory, man, is getting on Zach Gallen early and getting ahead in counts, because the numbers tell you you'll have much more success than when you're behind.
Yeah, no, my first key here will kind of coincide with that as well. When you're looking at what the Phillies have done throughout the postseason so far, you've had a lot of big names answer the calls, right? And I think a lot of what you said right there, specifically the thump from the left side of the plate, I think that's what needs to change a little bit, right? Bryce got involved heavily against the Braves. Obviously, they stopped pitching to him completely. And obviously, he had a home run in the first series as well against those lefties. But Schwarber, Stott, right? These are the guys that have to show up in these situations in this series. Specifically, Schwarber, he's the vet, right? He's the guy that creates these vibes, these winning vibes that have taken over the Philadelphia Phillies since he's arrived. He's been a big play guy, right? We know how much power he holds, how many home runs he's hit over the last 2 seasons with the Fightins, right? So we need to see some of that, and it would be nice to see it start tonight at home, right? That's part of, getting after it, being aggressive on the first pitch. We know how aggressive Kyle Schwarber can be on the first pitch. It was a little concerning as you saw the series go on and him not be able to get anything going against the Braves, but fresh series, new opponent. It's a fresh opportunity to kind of change the tide against that, right? So I'm looking for Schwarber more specifically from the left side of the plate, but also Bryson Stott. We know how big that he can be for this Phillies team as well. As young as he is, he's came through in huge moments. This nonetheless is a huge opportunity for him as well. And then I'll throw it to the right side of the plate with Alec Bohm, man. He's got to be a lot better. This isn't even just for this game in reality. This is for the series as a whole. He has to be a lot better from the plate, and hopefully we can see something from those guys. We know what Harp, Trey, Castellanos even, right? The first
JT's been really good so far.
JT's been really good. The other bats have arrived. We need these guys to come through if we want to be the team that we know this team can be. But that goes for this game as well as the whole series in general, man.
My second key here, I'm going to stick with the bats before I get over to Wheels in a second. But my second key here is getting up early. So the Phillies were 4-3 versus Diamondbacks this year. Very evenly close matchup. But the Phillies had about a +10, +11 in the run differential category. That's because of a 15-3 victory over them. 5 of the games were decided by 1 run, and another game was decided by 3 runs. So the series all year long has been very close. So my second key here is get on them, get up early. So to go along with getting on Gallen early, get up early, because make them fight back on the road in front of this crowd, get an early lead, because then even if they can climb back, you've had success against them in 1-run ball games this year, right? Now, whereas if you get down 2-0, 3-0 very early on in this game and you're the one climbing back, maybe that shifts the tide a little bit. So get on this team early, punish them, show them what they're in store for the next 2 nights. And I think you'll find success tonight, man. I think that's such an I don't know, not an underlying story here, because a lot of people are talking about Philadelphia and this home raucous crowd. Like, I get it, but really, like, we talked about it with Luzardo and Braxton Garrett and the Marlins, and we know the fear they have officially struck into the Atlanta Braves. Like, we know that's a fact now.
Yeah.
You don't know what you're walking into.
Yeah.
You really don't. Like, you can pump in the crowd noise in your simulation games. You can try to prepare as best you can.
Yeah.
You have no idea what that's like tonight until you officially step into it.
Yeah.
And Spencer Strider was really good, but if Spencer Strider can get mustered up by this place, Zach Gallen's great. Zach Gallen isn't Spencer Strider.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm looking for tonight. Strike early on Strider and strike early versus the Diamondbacks. Get up early and make them have to climb from behind.
Yeah, no, I love it. I think that's a good point, and I think that comes along with my other two keys to victory here as well, which the first one I'll mention is just kind of based on what you just said, but also when you get into those tight games, management, right? Rob Thompson and what he does with this team, right? We've seen him press all the right buttons, it feels like, right? Afterwards. Right. Doesn't always feel right at the time that he presses them. So can he continue his magic in this game one? Obviously, you got Wheels on the mound, so it kind of simplifies it for Rob Thompson in a sense. You got a right-handed opposing pitcher.
Ride your horse.
Simplifies it in a sense. Just makes it for the players to come through in that case. But can he continue to make the right decisions in high-stress moments of the game? The other side of that, Zach Wheeler, just be Zach Wheeler tonight at home, man. Like, that's all you got to do. We've seen what he's throwing out there the first two games that he's pitched in this postseason. We just need you to come home and kind of just continue to do the same stuff. Show us the same stuff. Keep that calm, cool, collected mind on the mound, and just be Zach Wheeler, man. But I'll throw that to you. Obviously, I know you got some points on Zach Wheeler here as well. But just be yourself.
Yeah, I'm looking at the top of this lineup for the Diamondbacks, and I'm looking at this table setter and what could be a real thorn in our pitching staff sides, a real pain in the ass, is the rookie Corbin Carroll. Now, my key here is keeping Corbin Carroll off the base paths. Now, that's incredibly difficult with what he's done through his first 5 games in the postseason. He's hitting .412, 2 home runs, 6 runs scored, 7 hits through 5 games for the rookie. He's been spectacular. But the kid, and I know JT's great and Wheeler's got a good pop time, the kid can steal second and third on you in the blink of an eye.
Yeah.
And if he goes to steal second, you better not make a mistake with the delivery down to second base and keep it in front of you if you're Turner or Stott, because if that creeps into the grass at all, he's getting to third very quickly.
Yeah.
You do not want him setting the table for this lineup and giving them that spark and energy, because even if it's a walk, even if it's a bloop single, it can very quickly get turned into an extra base hit with one more pitch because of his speed on the pads. Then what happens? Maybe he leads off, he gets on, he steals second, up, leadoff runner on second for Marte, for Walker, for Gurriel, for the rest of this lineup, and they're just manufacturing those types of runs.
Yeah.
You have to try to keep, I know it's difficult. You have to try to keep this young kid off the base paths, man. Hopefully after, you pitch to him in the top of the first when he leads off the inning. Hopefully you pitch to him with a lot of 2-out type of scenarios, right? Where even if he gets on, you just got to worry about the batter after that. You don't necessarily have to worry about him on the base pass. I'm not saying you just give him second base and allow, a bloop single to get him in, but you just have to focus one more out. I'm out of this inning, where if he gets on with 2 outs compared to none or 1 out. So Corbin Carroll is kind of who I'm keeping my eye on from a Diamondbacks perspective, because he sets everything up for this team, man.
Yeah, no, I actually love that point. And to your point, it's similar to Ronald Acuna, right? Another guy that loves to steal bases. Once he gets on base, he's an immediate threat to score. And it's kind of like that on a lesser scale, right? We know how much we have Trey Turner, who steals a lot of bases. We know how much a stolen base can change momentum, put pressure in different scenarios. So I think that's going to be huge, man. But to that point, it's also the other side as well. Trey Turner needs to bring that stuff to the table as well and put that pressure on Gallen. So, that is a great point, because Corbin Carroll has been kind of tearing it up this postseason.
Well, now, and the interesting thing is, I don't know if they've changed it over the last 2 games, but I'm on the box score from game 1 against the Dodgers when they got to Kershaw.
Yeah.
They actually had Ketel Marte leading off instead of Corbin Carroll. So now Ketel Marte becomes almost equally as important because you definitely want to keep that leadoff runner out in front of Corbin Carroll because then everything can become a mess. But if I was them, to be honest, bro, I would not see the point in putting Corbin Carroll in the 2-hole. Because I know Marte's got speed. Marte can steal bags as well. But by doing so, if Marte gets on and then Carroll gets on, I know, oh, great, you have first and second, but it's kind of a roadblock, right? And I know that sounds silly coming from the Philly guy who has Kyle Schwarber leading off and then Trey Turner. But Schwarber is there because of the power. Marte's not leading off because of any type of power.
Yeah.
So he becomes a little bit more of a speed bump for Carroll to kind of get by. So
to have that free roam.
I find that interesting. But yeah, that's my last key to victory when I'm looking at this Diamondbacks lineup is limiting and keeping Corbin Carroll off of the bases, man.
He's their game breaker, right? Like that's their guy. We have multiple guys that can hopefully break games open for the Phillies, but that's the guy that can win games for them with his base running and the clutch hits, man. He has 3 of the 5 games he's played this postseason. He has multiple hits in. So 4 of the 5 he has hits in. The last one against the Dodgers, I think, was the only one where he didn't get a hit, but nonetheless had a stolen base in that game. So either way, he can affect the game from
he impacts the game in more ways than just in the batter's box. That's the issue with him, right? So that's why you have to keep a closer eye on him and try to limit what he can do versus you and get him out early and often.
Outside of Corbin Carroll, who would you say is the next guy that you're maybe most worried about, I guess, most worried about containing?
Regular season wise, I would have told you Christian Walker, kind of their cleanup guy. Sometimes he's dropped down the lineup, sometimes he's a little higher, but he provides that thump in the middle of this lineup for the table setters. He's been really good. But for some reason, through the first 5 games of the playoffs, Tommy effing Pham has been unreal for the Diamondbacks as well.
Yeah.
I'll stick with I'll stick with Christian Walker as the next guy to keep my eye on. But Tommy Pham in the 3-hole, again, that's why it's important to keep Carroll and Marte off the base pass as much as you can, because I don't want to give those 2 guys who might have a hot bat right now kind of, multiple runs to drive in, essentially.
Yeah, looks like their catcher, Moreno, he has 3 home runs this month as well.
He does, but I'm not really. I think that's
not feeling that.
No, I think that's kind of, I don't know.
It's interesting. They did show power like in the first couple games there. You have Carroll with 2 homers, Thomas with 2 homers, Marte with 2 homers.
Can I tell you the difference?
I don't know. The pitching, right? The pitching is just something that we really haven't, maybe emphasized enough in this game. But Zach Wheeler and the difference between facing Zach Wheeler in the postseason and then facing the rest of the pitchers that they've faced on the way here, it's just at home. Now,
don't get me wrong. The Brewers were supposed to have a good staff. Now maybe they didn't live up to that, right? But the Dodgers, I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a huge upset, and the fact that Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman in that lineup was limited the way they were was unbelievable. But no one should be surprised that the Dodgers pitching staff got unloaded on.
Yeah,
no one.
Yeah,
I mean, Clayton Kershaw, sure, you could be a little surprised that he didn't make it out of the first effing inning, right? But outside of that, bro, they threw Bobby Miller and Lance Lynn in games 2 and 3, and that's a problem. So that's a difference maker for me as well. It all goes back to my opening point, right? About I'm not trying to underplay this hot Diamondbacks team. I'm not trying to take anything away from the success they've had, but they just don't. They don't strike any fear in you, right? Like the Braves worry you a lot. Like the Braves, you feel like underdogs against the Braves.
Yeah.
Right. Like the Astros, when we played in the World Series, remember that felt like Goliath, even though how hot the Phillies were. It turned out to be Goliath, right? The Diamondbacks don't present that, man. Lineup wise, they have Zach Allen, they have Merrill Kelly. That's cool. They don't have anyone beyond those 2. Okay, where the Phillies have Wheeler, Nola, Ranger, the better bullpen.
Yeah.
They have guys like Christopher Sanchez and Taijuan Walker that could piggyback a game 4, where a game 4 for the Diamondbacks is either short rest or a bullpen game.
Yeah.
There's not like if we went position by position for them, you maybe give the Diamondbacks one spot. And the funniest thing about it, maybe two, and the funniest thing about it is with the way that Costy's swinging the bat right now, it's not like I know we just emphasized Corbin Carroll, but right field would be the one spot you look at. It's Corbin Carroll versus Nick Castellanos. With what Nick Castellanos is doing, I'm not taking Corbin. I'm not taking anybody over him right now. Yeah. And then the other spot would be left field. Lourdes Gurriel versus what? Brandon. I mean, that's a toss-up, right? But outside of that, nowhere.
Yeah.
Catcher, no. Bullpen, no.
Basically, the Phillies Starters, are Goliath in this situation.
Right. Harper, no. Their first base. Christian Walker's not better. Ketel Marte is not better than Bryson Stott. Whoever their shortstop definitely ain't better than Trey Turner. They ain't better than Alec Bohm.
Yeah.
Rojas versus Alec Thomas. I'm taking Johan Rojas. It's the bottom line, man. That's the way I look at it. And that gets me to my game prediction for game 1 tonight, NLCS. I can't believe they're hosting. Like, that's what, like, I know I've been putting the Diamondbacks down, and I don't want to overlook them, but thank you, D-backs, because, like, this team gets to host the NLCS, and it's just something, you know, obviously we didn't get to experience last year, and it's going to be a lot of fun down in South Philadelphia over the next 2 nights. But I'm going with the Phillies win tonight. Zach Gallen is great, don't get me wrong, but I think the splits from home versus away kind of tell you a little bit of a story there. He has no idea what he's walking into. You can pitch in LA, you can pitch in Milwaukee, you can pitch in Arizona. Not all three of those places combined could not get you ready for what you're walking into tonight. I am going to go with a Phillies 6-3 win tonight.
I actually love it. Yeah, I actually had 6-2 written down here. Either way, we get the W by multiple runs tonight. And I expect the bank to be a madhouse tonight, man. The Phillies, if they can get any type of power, any type of thump going tonight, the roof will pop off of there. So I do believe they get it going tonight. 6 runs. We saw what they were able to do in that last game, right? Or the game before last, against the Braves, where they completely blew the roof open. Let's see if they can get some of that action going tonight. Obviously, it's Zach Gallen. He's a lot better than that bullpen game that they played against the Braves. So a lot better matchup, but still the same lineup, man. There's a lot of power out there and a lot of opportunities to be had for this team. You have wheels at the mound that should keep everything in check. And that's why I went with the 6-2 win. Did you want to give series predictions here?
Yeah, let's do it just to kick it off. I am going to go Phillies in. I'll go Phillies in 5. All right. You get to 6. Obviously, it'd be back at the bank. It's not going past 6. Like, I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah.
But even if it gets to 6, I'm not trying to dog them, but you're giving the Diamondbacks too much credit. You say that, right? The talent disparity is too great. The experience is too great. The home field advantage is too great. I'll give them 1 win. It's either going to be tomorrow or game 4 in Arizona. That's what I'll say. And then the Phillies wrap it up in 5. Obviously, Merrill Kelly versus Aaron Nola. You can get a weird game there. Maybe the Diamondbacks steal one. They're feeling good. But again, I'll come back to the pitching. I mean, game 3 in Arizona, you're looking at Ranger Suarez. Or no, that won't even wrap it up. Right? No, I'm lying. No, I don't know what I'm saying. No.
Yeah, 1 game. Yeah, you just got to win 4.
Yeah, because when I said game 1 or game 2 or 4, I started to add up both as losses in my head. So I was like, but my point is, if you lose tomorrow night, the Diamondbacks steal 1. Game 3, Ranger Suarez versus Brandon Pfaadt, whatever, PFAADT. I don't know, man. That's angle Phillies, right? Advantage Phillies. After that, probably a bullpen game for Arizona, advantage Phillies. And then you turn it back over to Zach Wheeler, advantage Phillies. Yeah. All right. So I'm going to go Phils in 5.
Yeah, I'm with you. I had the Phillies win series in 5 written down right here. And I think, as we start to see this postseason go on, man, I'm really watching Trey Turner just to see what he does. Obviously, there's a ton of names on this Phillies roster to keep an eye on. But just really watching him throughout the rest of the postseason, he really does look like that, just like do it all glue guy.
Yep.
Like it whatever you need, a home run in game 4 against the Braves. You need runs. I'll get you a home run to give you 3 and make it comfortable for you. You need RBIs, I got you. You need a guy on base to get home, I got you. If you need stolen bases, I got you. Double plays, I got you. Cut the errors, and it would be an excellent postseason.
An A++ from Trey. I think that's the last thing here, man.
Difference. You get to the World Series, you get to these big moments in the season. That's the difference from last year that gives me the confidence, man. Just that glue, along with the improved bullpen.
Right.
Just gives me like sky high confidence in this team.
I think that's the one thing to look at with this team. Is there's so many different storylines from player to player that you just want this for them so badly, right?
Yeah,
Bryce,
so true.
Bryce is only missing that one piece of hardware.
Yeah,
that's it, and then he's a first ballot, right? Costi, the struggles last year and the booze, and he's in his own head. And then you get this performance out of him that not only in the regular season for the most part, but now this playoff run. Trey Turner starts with the standing O, now turns into this. Aaron Nola, if he continues to play a part in a World Series run, after we were ready to just kick him to the curb and drive him to the airport to get him out of Philadelphia after this year.
Yeah.
There's so many different guys. You can Alec Boehm, literally last year, with the I effing hate this place and, couldn't play third base. He bounces back. There's so many different guys you want this for. Obviously, you want it for everybody, the organization, the city, for us. But when you look at that, it's like that would just be a story, kind of like a storybook ending for a couple of these guys. And it's only the beginning for this Phillies crew, right?
Yeah,
like,
that's
a lot of these guys are locked in for, a little bit here. So, let's see if they can do it. Obviously, 8 more. Game 1, NLCS tonight versus the Diamondbacks. Zach Gallen versus Zach Wheeler. Obviously, we're recording this, so the lineup cards are not out yet, but you expect it to be your normal Rob Thompson versus right-handed pitcher. Brandon Marsh is in the game in left field type of lineup. And we will see you guys on Tuesday for DSM pregame live here on the DSM Philadelphia YouTube channel. Subscribe. For myself, for Scotty, have a great rest of your Monday. Go